Ozarks Crime Watch, where small-town shadows hide big questions. Tonight, we revisit the unsolved murder of Jay Mathews, a beloved father gunned down in broad daylight on a quiet street in Joplin. No suspect, no arrest, just a grieving family and a community still searching for answers. Welcome to Ozarks Crime Watch. My name is Josh Shackles, and today we are investigating the case of Jay Mathews, who was brutally murdered right here in Joplin, Missouri. I've got a team of excellent investigators that have been helping to look at all the possible details about this case. Let's meet everybody.
Hey everybody, it's Connor. I'm back again this week. Excited to get into this one. There's a lot of unusual aspects of this case that we don't always see here in Joplin, so excited to unpack it.
Hey everybody, it's Joe. Glad to be back for another episode of Ozarks Crime Watch and excited to hear what the team has to say about today's case.
Hey y'all, Sarah Moore here, back at it with the Ozarks Crime Watch crew. I've got a background in crisis intervention and child welfare, so I'm definitely no stranger to chaos. I've seen how deep things can run in families and systems, and all of that sticks with me when we're looking at cases like this. I'm looking forward to digging into this case with you guys tonight.
Hey y'all, I'm Whitney. Glad to be back with you all and dig into this case. I love being part of this podcast where we bring you the cold hard facts that some would rather keep buried.
Hey y'all, I'm Sally, an Ozark native who's always been fascinated by the unsolved cases that linger in these hills. Through this podcast, I'm not just telling old stories, but hoping to keep the memories of victims alive and maybe spark new questions, new leads, and new hope for answers.
So I'm excited to have such a dedicated crew of investigators here. We know that there are a lot of people out there that may have information about cases and may be interested in joining us here in the show. So if you have an interest in joining us on the show, please reach out to us on Facebook or YouTube, and we'd love to get you involved. Let's go ahead and dig into the details of today's case.
The Case File. On the evening of May 16th, 2022, at exactly 6:06 p.m., Joplin's emergency dispatch received a 911 call reporting multiple gunshots near the intersection of 5th Street and South Connor Avenue. That's just a few blocks south of downtown. Officers arrived quickly and found two victims in the 400 block of South Connor. One of them was Kenneth J. Mathews. He was pronounced dead at the scene. He had suffered multiple gunshot wounds. The second victim, an adult male friend of Jay's, had also been shot multiple times. He was rushed to a local hospital in critical condition. Police have never released that friend's name, likely for his privacy and safety. The two men had simply been walking down the street when someone opened fire from a passing car. That car became the key to the investigation. Within days, investigators released surveillance footage showing the suspected vehicle fleeing the area. It was a black Ford Taurus SHO, the high-performance model. What made this car stand out were its aftermarket rims and a very loud, modified exhaust system. The audio from the surveillance captured the distinctive sound as it sped off. Joplin police shared that audio publicly, hoping someone in the community would recognize the sound or the vehicle itself. They stressed, "Do not approach this vehicle or its occupants. The suspect or suspects should be considered armed and dangerous." An autopsy for Jay Mathews was scheduled for May 20th in Ozark, Missouri, and JPD quickly classified this as an active homicide investigation. Let's talk about Jay. Kenneth J. Mathews was 46 years old, born July 31st, 1975. He was a father of two sons, Caleb Mayhew and Xavier Mathews. To his family, he was a giant teddy bear, a big-hearted, funny, gentle soul. Friends described him as the guy who'd always offer a shoulder to cry on. He was known around Joplin by the nickname Big Chops, and he was deeply loved. Jay's death sent ripples through the community. Over 110 candles have been lit on his gunmemorial.org tribute page. 43 messages were posted in his obituary's online guest book. And every year since the shooting, friends and family have posted tributes on social media. Photos, memories, and most of all, calls for justice. But justice hasn't come. Despite early momentum in the case and over 60 leads followed by detectives, there have been no arrests and no suspects publicly named. In 2024, on the 2-year anniversary, the Joplin Police Department again went public, reaffirming that this case was still open, still active, and still deeply important. But no new information was released, and by May 2025, this year, 3 years after Jay's murder, there was silence. No press conference, no breakthrough, no closure. So what theories are on the table? At this point, police have not confirmed a motive. There's no known link to gangs, no indication Jay was involved in anything criminal, and no evidence this was a random act of violence. Most signs point to a targeted attack, but whether Jay was the intended target or whether this was a case of mistaken identity remains unknown. It's also unclear whether his surviving friend was able to provide a description of the shooter, or if that information is being withheld. The suspect or suspects were never described physically. The only lead the public has ever been given is the car. Joplin PD believed someone would recognize that sound, those rims, that vehicle. But if anyone has, they haven't said. And that's where things stand. Kenneth J. Mathews was murdered in the early evening, walking down a Joplin street. His killer drove off into the night and has never been held accountable. 3 years later, the investigation remains open. The pain remains fresh for his sons, his siblings, his nieces and nephews, and for the many people in Joplin who called Jay a friend. They're still waiting. If you know something, anything, even something that didn't seem important at the time, please contact the Joplin Police Department. You can reach Detective Sergeant Luke Stahl at 1-87623-3131 extension 1885, or Detective Sergeant Sean Dodson at extension 1638. Because until someone steps forward, this case stays unsolved. And Kenneth J. Mathews deserves more than that. First thoughts.
All right, so this is a case that doesn't give us a lot of details, but is shocking to have happened right here in Joplin. We don't often see things like drive-by shootings here in basically small-town America. So let's talk about first thoughts when this happened. You know, I know I got the notification from Joplin News first about this happening and probably watched that feed for, 2 hours. I mean, this is not far from my home.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, I guess to me, is exactly like that. It's not only the drive-by portion of it, but the fact that it was kind of early evening still, and
Just after 6 p.m.
yeah, and that's pretty unusual in itself. That just kind of shows like a sense of confidence that, you know, the suspects had that committed this. You know, that's just kind of, that's what I see.
About it being a drive-by in Joplin, okay, because when I hear about drive-by in Joplin, I'd be surprised. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It doesn't surprise me. So when I hear about it, it's kind of like a lot of the other crime in Joplin. This was totally different. It was from being gunned down in broad daylight, but it was one that I thought they were going to solve quickly. I really thought they were. And I was surprised it lingered as long as it did.
Yeah, almost immediately they released footage of the vehicle escaping the scene from multiple different ring cameras.
And if you look at one of those footages, there's one where it shows a person walking down the street, or down the sidewalk, in front of a house as the car is going by. That person's walking pretty casually. I mean, they don't strike me as a person that just heard gunshot go off. Or
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
hiding in the corner.
Yeah, they're just kind
They're
of
just standing there.
They didn't stop. They didn't stop and look at that car as it went by either.
And the fact that it was such a distinctive car with the, custom rims and, exhaust, whatever else it had on it, it makes me wonder if the police have flagged it, like in their flock system, like if it's ever caught on cameras.
So on the note of the special sounds of the car, right here, let's go ahead and insert a clip of what that sounds like.
The other thing too about those videos, the only reason we probably saw those videos is because of somebody else giving a first-hand description. In other words, that's somebody gave a description of the car, and then they looked at the people's ring videos around the neighborhood, and they found that one and it matched. That's why we saw that. But I'm wondering if there was any other cameras in the neighborhood that they also had footage on. We've seen 2 or 3, I guess, out there.
I've seen 2.
2. So I just wonder. I know right there at that corner on the southeast corner, there's a ring camera on their door at that intersection facing directly at where the crime would have taken place.
But may not have been at the time.
Right, but there is one there now. So
this car was really unique, and I saw in some Facebook comments from right after this happened that somebody said, "Oh, hey, I've seen that car at cruise night several times." And so most likely someone that has attended cruise night regularly might recognize this car. I actually shared the video or a picture of the car on my social media and said, "Hey, has anybody seen this car?" Nobody bought into that hook, but I was hoping that maybe somebody'd be like, "Yeah, you want to buy it?"
Maybe do a
Right.
random post today. And
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
put,
be a great day
just,
for it.
No caption, but just
we can share
this.
just that picture to our Ozark Crime Watch Facebook page as well, and let people share it and get it out there.
I just wonder if they were from out of state or out of the area, because I don't know.
I wonder that as well, and I wonder,
It's
if that's the same car the person saw at cruise night. It might be, might not be, could be from out of area.
oftentimes with criminal activity, there's escalation leading up to whatever the main event is, and in this case, we don't see that escalation, and maybe that's because the person is not from our community.
Right.
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 Maybe they escalated somewhere else, and then
That's true, but it does feel really targeted, and especially with the other person that was shot at, but that hasn't came forward with their name. That seems a little bit strange.
I saw a comment that said that person was very concerned for their safety, and so it's possible that they may know who is responsible.
And they may have been the intended target, know that they were the intended target.
And that's true.
That would be so hard. I can't even imagine the weight that would put on someone.
I mean,
Yeah.
not knowing who it is, I wonder if they look alike. If it was mistaken identity, if they look alike. So.
Or they shot both of them, but Jay wasn't the initial target. The other guy was. He just lived,
Yeah.
or the same
Wrong
thing.
place, wrong time.
Yeah.
See, that makes more sense to me because Jay didn't really have any enemies. I mean, he was really easy to get along with. I met him when he was working at a gas station, and he was just
The worst thing they
really
usually
lighthearted.
The worst thing they usually have to do is deny selling someone liquor or cigarettes, and that's really not a reason to do a drive-by.
Right. Yeah, I can't imagine that being enough to trigger somebody, but I guess you never know.
Well, and I read that this guy was like a giant teddy bear and
Right.
very lovable and warm to other people.
Yeah, definitely a family man with kids. He was very dedicated to them.
Well, and how did the shooter know where they were going to be? That connection.
Right.
I mean, that's
That's
the
specific.
question. How do they know where to find him?
Theory time.
So this is a tough one to come up with a theory about what could have happened in this case, because Jay doesn't fit the profile of someone that would be targeted for a drive-by shooting like that. I'm not aware of any negative lifestyle choices or, that he was involved in the honkies or anything like that. So is a normal family guy just gunned down?
My theory is that he wasn't the intended target. I really don't believe he was. And we don't know anything whatsoever about the other person that was shot. So we can speculate. We can speculate that maybe they were a person that had beef with the other person. Maybe they were following them. Maybe, I don't know where Jay lived. I don't know why they were in that neighborhood. So there's a lot of things that we don't have answers to. But as far as the target, Jay is what you would consider a low-risk victim, somebody that, as far as we know, the information that's out there regarding his lifestyle. So my theory is that the other person was the intended target, and Jay just got caught in the crossfire.
Could it have been something that they had an altercation right before this, too? Like a road rage kind of situation?
It's within the realm of possible,
Yeah.
but it does seem like the police would have mentioned that. We've had other road rage cases that ended in murder, and they were quick to say this was road rage.
And they were quick to say this one was targeted.
And, there is
Or
still
they believe it was
if they
targeted.
believe.
Yeah.
Right.
It's within the realm of possible. It was just wrong place, wrong time.
It does make me wonder if it could be anything related to personal conflict, like something to do with jealousy or betrayal or even debt. I don't know.
Well, we did see online that his fiance mentioned they had gotten engaged the night before.
That
And
seems
That's
magnificent.
that is so sad. There's
And
just so much heavy heart with this case.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things we don't know about any of this. We don't know if there was a love triangle
Yeah.
Right?
going on. I'm not trying to get all
no.
soap opera here.
I
I mean,
but-
that's kind
All
of
the
what I was
behind
getting
the
at.
scenes.
yeah,
but you
that's
just-
where I thought you were headed. And, we don't know if somebody that was mad about the engagement,
Man.
and he, in that case, he may have been the target. Again, if that's, it feels like they would have had to have been stalking them, or one of those two lived in that neighborhood and there was a reason
Right.
for them to be walking south. They were walking toward 7th Street from 4th Street.
Yeah.
So I don't know where road rage would have occurred, or maybe at 4th Street, but it's not, I don't think it's likely road rage.
It seems like they would have been followed because, again, how did they know they were going to be there? So
Why?
I agree with you. Yep.
Or or somebody was circling the neighborhood waiting to run into them.
It's not out of the realm of possibility either that it could literally just been a random drive-by of an initiation thing, because that does happen too, and it's not seen around here. But all because
Yeah.
don't see it around here doesn't mean it's not possible.
Senseless
Not a
crime.
bad
Right,
idea.
just
Absolutely
literally
senseless.
just
Yeah.
doesn't matter. We got to just do it to get in,
Yeah.
and once I'm in, and that could have been it too.
And that plays into the theory that the person isn't from our community.
Right.
exactly.
And how everything changed in a flash.
Right.
Yeah, if a gang member from Tulsa decided, hey, I need to go hurt
Right.
someone to get in, coming to a place like Joplin is a good way to get away with it, because they're not going to be looking for you as a Tulsa gang member here.
Because my thought, if that car was still around here, it would have been spotted by now.
Well, and so
And
they
it
did
was so
find
loud.
Yeah.
They did supposedly thought they found the car,
Okay.
but
So
nothing really came of it.
We have mixed reports on that. In our research, we found one place that it said the police identified the car, but we couldn't find that in any major news source. The police have never said that. It was like a Reddit comment or a Facebook comment that,
On the very
that
bottom.
told us
I don't
that.
want it.
So they may, in fact, have the car, but we don't have an official confirmation that they have the car.
Wow.
I just feel like if they did have the car, it'd at least give them why wouldn't they find the registered owner? You know what I mean? I guess that's me.
And they may have. I mean,
Right.
there's so much, again, about this case. Back to the gang thing, I think that if it was a gang initiation and it was a random drive-by or a random act of violence to be initiated into a gang, makes me wonder why the other person, the unnamed victim, has so much fear. I mean, if it was something like that, then it would have been done it's over with. So
Right.
evidently they seem to have a reason to still be afraid and want, for security purposes and confidentiality, their name isn't being released. So I don't know. The gang theory seems a little unlikely to me. But that's just my 2 cents.
I agree. It seems unlikely. Yeah,
Like Connor said, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. We don't know.
We
That's
just keep going back to
Right.
anything
I
is
don't-
possible.
I don't think that the
so.
Joplin PD would be so far into this investigation as they are
Mhm.
if it wasn't something local
Yeah.
or local-ish in the metro area at least.
Yeah.
That's just.
Because we're right here by Oklahoma,
Right.
so it's just.
But to be a crime that initiated out of somewhere like Tulsa or something, I don't think our police would really be able to
There is a
work too
group.
seriously on that.
Sorry. I was just going to say that there's a group online, a Justice for Juggalo J group online. I'm just curious. You can't see it unless you're a member, but I'm wondering if there's any information people have on there that may...
Justice for Juggalo J on Facebook.
Going back to do they have the car, we did see one person comment that said even if they found the car, there were potentially 2 people in the car, and identifying which one of them was the shooter
Wow.
may be the obstacle that the police are facing. And we were talking about this before the episode, but if you are the one in the car that didn't do the shooting, you really want them to get it right.
And I would think if you're the one in the car that didn't get the shooting and you're the one the police is talking to, you'd give them some information about who did the shooting, and that doesn't seem to be the case. So there's a reason why this person isn't giving out more information than they are, which makes them more than likely the shooter.
Yeah.
If they're not, because usually in those types of cases, if there's 2 people involved, they will blame each other. If there's reason to believe there's 2 people involved, but they only have one, they will usually give up the other person, or they're just not talking at all.
It also makes.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it also makes me think, what else are they tied to? What other crimes potentially have they done that, or maybe they go commit something else, and then that's like the bow on it, where it can lead back to this and tie into it.
Close to home.
So, this was literally close to home.
Yeah.
At the time I lived about a mile from here. I got the notification just a few minutes after this happened from Joplin News First saying, hey, something's happened, right here off of Murfreesburg. And, I'd known him distantly for several years. So this was very much close to home. This one is really heavy on my heart, guys.
When I think about this being close to home, it's one of those cases that, like a lot of cases in Joplin, it's a case that can be solved a lot of times by somebody that may be listening to this podcast.
Right.
That has some information that he can contact Detective Luke Stahl at the Joplin Police Department. We'll give out all that information here in a little bit. But it may be a case like that, like the Sarah Burton case. It's a case that is close to home for a sad reason, and the reason is it's so solvable, yet there's just not that person that's spoken up to give that one bit of information that drives it home.
If you do have information, reach out to Detective Sergeant Luke Stahl at the Joplin Police Department, 417-623-3131. extension 1885. So he's the lead investigator on this case. And if you have any tips or knowledge, please reach out to him. Or reach out to us and we'll connect you to him.
Absolutely. And he's a real super nice guy. He won't just blow you off. He will listen to what you have to say and take you seriously. So
He responds to every email I send him.
That's awesome.
he's a good guy.
And I feel like we really owe it to Jay to just keep looking for more answers
I agree.
and ask for the tips to come in.
This is a tough case for us to cover because there isn't a lot of information about what has happened. But it's so important that we find out for sure what happened to Jay. He deserves that,
Absolutely.
and his kids deserve that.
And I can tell you what, it never hurts to call the Joplin Police Department, even if you don't necessarily have a tip, and just say, hey, I'd like an update. Is there an update that you can give me, on this case? That keeps it fresh in their mind. And
Yeah, I
That's-
love that you said that.
that's not intruding at all. We have a right to know as a community. And it's not, being like, why haven't you done anything? It's not like that at all. It's, hey, I just want you to know that there's people out here that are, hoping that you guys can solve this case.
Mm-hmm.
And we're pulling for you. Because a lot of times the police, if they don't immediately solve a case, especially one like this where there's a picture of the car,
Mm-hmm.
there's, although conflicting, there is a story out there saying they found a car. There's a lot of, information that we do have regarding the other victim. We don't have a lot, but what little we do have, it can cause people to be like, well, why haven't they solved this by now? And the police can have all the information they want, but they have to take it to a prosecutor. And the prosecutor has to be looking at it and say, you know what, I believe there's enough evidence here that we can take this to trial. But until that happens, all we can do is what we're doing right now. And the community can just keep Jay's name alive.
We appreciate you joining us here for Ozark Crime Watch. Tune in next week as we cover the case of Socorro Mendoza, the woman in the suitcase. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.